what do you do when if it's mandatory, then everyone's here, and there's not 40 positions in a church bulletin to fill, you know. So there's got to be some kind of balance between everyone being here or being away.
It seems to me like the two biggest arguments on either side. One would be follow-up. The fact that you have a campus church gives you much better chance of doing follow-up work. Because as students, or faculty and staff, during the week you're busy and you don't have time to drive to Forest Hill or to Truckee or to Georgetown. But if you're giving Bible studies to somebody that's like a couple blocks away, you can quickly drive over there, and give a Bible study in 1 hour, come back, do your homework. It's really a lot better chance of doing follow-up. That's the main thing that I've experienced. Like, okay, I wouldn't have an excuse from that perspective because follow-up is really important. You want to have long-term effects. The biggest reason on the other side was the idea of like taking away from other churches. And I think I think Don McIntosh had a good explanation for why that's not really a good objection. And what he said was that if you look at other university campuses or other college campuses, usually the churches in the surrounding area will flourish as the institution flourishes. Mm-hmm. So what he's saying is, if you can correctly train students to run church, then that model will attract more students and more families to the area, and eventually will build up the churches around it. And so it really, if the school is not doing what it's supposed to and students are not learning what they should, if the institution collapses, then all the area churches will lose a lot of membership, because you're always going to have some staff or some staff family that are attending those other local churches, even though it might not be the actual student body.
I'm just kind of wondering, I like that the idea of reaching the people who are around Weimar so that they can actually come to join the worship here in campus. I like the idea, and then the student can also just learn how to organize church and things like that. But my question is, how about, just like the last few weeks I was here in Weimar campus, I was here for like a couple of weeks for Weimar, and then I've noticed there's not a lot of people, or not a lot of students were here, but then there was a good number of people were here, including students and faculties. But my question is, like, how about like summer break and winter break comes, there's not a lot of people comes to church, and then people who lives around here might want to come and join church, but there's not enough people to. What if there's not enough people to run the church and things like that? That kind of things I think we have to consider about it.
So, are you suggesting like making the mandatory attendance go into summer as well?
But I think we're just going to do what happens. What if there's like everyone's gone?
True. So having a church here in general. Yeah, it's a good point, and it's an important question to address. Something that I've gathered by listening to the various comments, kind of, you can give me your input as what you think about it. I was thinking of a proposal of how to kind of bridge the transition between what has happened without campus church in the past and what it is now. Since we're still in the infancy stage, we can look far into the future, but we're struggling with it now. And so something that I thought about was perhaps setting up the system so that students that are freshmen, sophomore, more the incoming students, are here, they're getting the training that the campus church was intended to give, and what it was created for. They learn how to serve at churches and to lead. And then the upper division, or the junior and seniors, go and disperse and actually get involved in the other churches. And that would kind of help to get everyone involved, so that there aren't, a core group involved at the campus church and then the others just sitting in the pew. It also helps to kind of bridge over the tension that's felt with whether people are supposed to be at the campus church or that.
I think that sounds really great. I would maybe have it that it was not so much clean cut that incoming students are in the campus church and the upper grades are not. But perhaps for the juniors and seniors, it becomes an option. Because I think if you just are like, yeah, once you're junior or senior, you don't have to come to church anymore. For some
good
people,
point.
that would be good, but for some people, it wouldn't be so good. And so maybe if they could present some sort of thing, I'm going to be working at this church doing these sort of things, some sort of plan, some sort of proposal, and then that be accepted, and then they can go as a project, not just like, okay, now you're free.
Yeah, but in order for them to know that they want to work here and to actually have a plan, they need to know the church. And if they've never been there before, they can't just be like, I think I want to work at this church and I want to do this. I mean, who's going to do that? They have to have some kind of prior experience with the church. Like, hey, I know this person and I've been going here for a little while and they want me to do this, whatever. You can't just like show up and be like, hey guys, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
It's true. And that, it just shows that we have a lot to process still. I don't think that even the staff or faculty have come to grips with what the full mission of a campus church is and all the aspects involved. So I think this discussion will probably continue the next semesters or so, and it'll be interesting to see what the campus church evolves to.